Yeah, so that's what we do.
Yeah, doing the same exact thing. We've been doing those videos at UF. Interesting, what we did is Friday did the FDOT inspection where they won't be on recording themselves.
Right.
But I went through as if I was a DOT officer or just training somebody, and this is how to take care of your truck. You're a new hire.
Right.
And we had a lawn tech who came there and volunteered. And one I learned from the L&O Masters class. I can't remember, were you at that one? Or?
No, I've never been. This is my third one. All I've done is termite. I haven't done any of the L&O.
Okay, awesome. On the L&O, the FDOT guys came in, and something new I learned was if you see rust coming down somewhere from like a lug nut or from a hub, that means something's rubbing. You've got a crack or a loose lug nut. And he had three of his lug nuts in the back of his Isuzu MPR had rust coming down. And no, they're not loose. They're not loose. They were halfway off. And they don't put a lug wrench in those because it's, a 2-inch socket. Right. So he was stuck there till one of the mid-sized truck people came to rescue him. But I felt bad for some food.
Right here.
Thank you.
Oh, this is good.
I felt bad for him getting stranded during the day and not getting any work done. But it's like, no, you saved me there. That tire would have came off.
Yeah.
So I learned something new. Yeah, a lot of fun. But yeah, we did the same kind of thing, do the hand clap between all the different cameras. So we got a bigger one on a tripod and an iPhone to get up close.
These people's food here is amazing. What is it? Positanos? Cafe?
Cafe Positano.
Cafe Positanos in Apopka. Freaking amazing. Yeah, no. Right now I'm at a crossroads. So I wanted to see what this was all about. So that's why I took the WDO, and I'm like, do I want to do WDO? Probably not for a couple of years until I get some experience in termite under my belt. I don't feel comfortable with it. So now I got to hire.
Yeah, I saw you posting for certified operator.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get a certified operator who has a termite license, a termite certification, so that I can do termite, learn with him, get my own, and then leave him as a tech and see if he can do both sales and...
Yeah, and that's the best because then you can do it for your company. You're not working for somebody else to work under them just for experience.
Yeah, because we were going to do that, but then, it's like, I got to go do all his jobs. I got to show up with his customers. A lot of time it gets uncomfortable. For him, I'm sure he'd probably do it. I say, if you got a job, I'll go and I'll do it. And then I get my 45 certification. But, I got to wait until he gets, and he doesn't do a ton of termite. He does mostly tenting.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to, I'm going to wait a year before I can get 45. So I'm weighing all that. But, no, this definitely course has been freaking eye-opener. This is stuff I've been in the industry for 14 years I've never heard. And I stayed at the CEU classes all the way to the end. I've taken the termite when I don't need to. I don't have a termite CEU. I've actually taken the termite classes to learn about termite. It's not there. A lot of the time it's, just the product information.
And like we were talking earlier, you're more comfortable in the L&O realm. L&O is the hardest. Anybody who comes into our industry and just no knowledge whatsoever, they're trying to learn everything between the weeds, the disease, the turf types,
and I
soil. Yeah, that's the hardest one out
I think I got like a 94 or something like that on that test. So this should be easy for me to do termite once I get it done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Compared to L&O, it's overwhelming when it hits you all at once. But if you break down the beetles, we're going to talk about that tomorrow in class. But you've already had a head start. You've seen all the beetles.
Yeah, the difference with me and L&O is that I actually had 3 years of L&O experience by the time I went to go take my course.
Yeah.
And I did L&O, and then I got GHP, and that was easy too. I mean, the first time I was there for like 4.5 hours, and then the second one I was out by 2.5. On my second, it was all law, the same law. Then it just changed the insects. I said, oh, I already know all the law.
Yeah.
It was just the insects and diseases and the law, and that's it.
Yeah, the same for the termites.
Yeah.
And pretty much you're going to have, for the most part, subterranean termite, drywood termite.
Right.
You know the basics about those. All right, you got the termites under control. The beetles, it's 4 beetles. And it's overwhelming when you've never seen them before. But if you know the 3 powder post beetles, and I believe on the state exam they even grouped them as one.
Yeah, it would be easy for me to learn to just ID them. I just gotta, because I've disconnected completely from the class. I mean, I've got all my notes. I took like an enormous amount of notes, but I've going back and then running the business, coming back in 2 weeks, going back running the business. So I haven't really sat down and focused. So I'll have 9 months to really prepare and take all the notes, and I already see what's going to be on the exam from the class. I already know the law part, which I know is going to be the same for all of them.
And there is a little more on termite. That's the only one that's a bit different. They will get more into the contract law and of course the 13645 for what's required on that. But you've got a good background with the WDO class.
Right.
But just reviewing from the laws, you've got to keep the 13645 for 3 years. And 9 months from now, if you sit down and what was that, 2 years? Was that 3 years? Was that 6 months? They ask a lot of questions like that.
Right.
And study those manuals, that termite manual. There's a lot of questions in there, like what's the best kind of pump, a piston pump, a diaphragm pump, a roller pump.
Right.
And some are a little outdated, like, we talk about wettable powders and a roller pump. That's a 1980s issue.
Yeah. I'm more into, electric pumps. I want to go electric because I'm going to be using, if I'm going to use anything, I'm going to use Termidor and not even worry about it. It was an interesting discussion today with Faith regarding stations and the preference of one versus liquid. It seems like she does tend to like more the whole bait station than the actually liquid treatment. Why is that?
Well, that would be more basic.
Right, but I mean, since you have the pros and cons.
And my opinion of it is, I do personally lean more to the bait stations.
Right.
I'm in South Florida, so I'm out of West Palm, a little bit north of you.
Right.
But we do have a lot of Formosan termites.
Right.
And the bait stations seem to work really well on the Formosans. And you can have failures with any product.
Right.
But it seems the liquids have more failures than the bait stations.
On Formosan.
Yeah. And one of the leading theories on that is just if you have Formosan colony that's over an acre, if it hits one termite bait station, it can take that bait back, spread it efficiently through the whole colony, and knock out the colony. Where if you have a bunch of small eastern sub-colonies, maybe they hit the bait, maybe they don't. But with the Formosans, it's pretty efficient. They're such big, widespread colonies, they're actually more likely to get your bait stations.
Got it.
And there have been some failures with Termidor. I've been on some failures with Termidor that are year after year. It's hard to say why.
Right.
And I'm not picking on Termidor in particular, but that's pretty much the leading liquid treatment out there. So if you're going to pick that, and then with the best baits out there, the Centricon or the Traylona, I will say those are neck and neck.
Yeah, because I've been so when I just had that one with one of my customers that called me, and I go out there and sure enough they did have Eastern subs, but then I also found.
That's right, you said Formosans in the stump outside. Yeah.
Outside, and then when I looked at the map for Florida, 3 blocks from there's 2 spots within 3 blocks that Formosans have already been found. So now she's got a double problem. And the stump is actually, and it's a 0-lot home. The challenge I have with those 2 properties, looking at them, or anybody's going to do it. I told him to call my friend to get it done because they have activity in the bathroom right now. I didn't want her to wait. So the biggest challenge is all those homes have a ton of concrete around it. There's no place to put a station. You can do a combination. But only in the front can you put the station, and then you're going to have to drill all that concrete.
Yeah, that's impossible. Now, sometimes it is easier to do liquid.
Right.
So I'm definitely not opposed to liquid in certain situations, but you can also drill concrete for bait stations. It's called core drilling.
Right here.
Looks good.
Right here. Thank you. Oh, with a croquette.
Oh, looks beautiful.
So.
Yeah, that topping that almost had me on that, but I've never been a salmon fan.
Oh, really?
Any other? I'll eat salmon, but I don't crave it. Crazy.
Yeah, no, it does. And with mango, when he started talking mango, tell a Cuban mango, it's like people like mango and your fish, yeah.
Absolutely, bonefish does a good. I get a mango salsa.
Really?
Come out with sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, no. So that house, the neighbor's house and theirs, basically an L shape. Is all concrete poured on this side, all concrete poured in the back. I mean, the entire back patio. In order to put a station away from it, you literally got to put it 10 feet away up on the fence line because everything is concrete. So you would drill a core enough to get a station into the ground.
Yeah, if it's in concrete, absolutely. And you can go around patios or pool decks. That's accepted in the industry to go around that base station where you wouldn't with the liquid.
he would have from this house on the side, it would be like 8 to 10 feet away from the house where he has soil, which is right up against the fence line, and then literally the entire back. You only have because you got to have legal.
Correct? Yes, correct.
Because you got to have a foot legally between one property and another that you can't put concrete. So that's the only space he has, and then obviously the other side of the house is on the neighbor's side, and then the front is all and partially concrete and all that. So
now the one thing that's easier for bait stations there is if you are technically crossing into the neighbor's property, it's probably easier to get them to agree to you putting in some bait stations on their property than putting in, say, 100 gallons of liquid formiticide.
Got it.
Coming in to protect your house, because what's in it for them?
Right.
And either one realistically can't help them with their termites, but they might be scared with the liquid.
Because that one I was thinking we're gonna have to do a combination inside.
Yeah, and I definitely would treat any active areas, regardless, bait, liquid.
Yeah, because they got a lot of active areas.
Yeah, hit those active areas hard. But the coring, similar to that house, I had one was a veterinarian's office. That was 100% concrete and asphalt the whole way around.
Right.
And asphalt, you really can't even drill into a liquid because it settles with the ground.
Right.
You won't get it to take much at all. So we did a little bit of liquid treatments in some active areas, but then we put bait stations every 10 feet the whole way around. And Home Depot does rent the coring machine.
Right.
That's basically kind of like a dolly. You'll pull around, and it's just like a giant drill press. And you buy the bit yourself. It's under $100, and it'll make a 3-inch hole if you're doing the Trailona stations. And the caps that go in there, some of the distributors sell them. Even the city of New Orleans will sell the metal caps to encourage pest control companies to do the treatments. They came up for it. If you walk through the French Quarter in New Orleans, you'll see these little metal caps down the road. And that's the bait stations and the sidewalk. They don't even actually put an actual station.
Right.
It's just poured out, and then you put the cartridges down through the concrete.
Right.
And then put that metal cap on the top.
Got it.
It works out pretty nice. I believe BSF still does make a station made for that. It just doesn't have the top on it.
Right.
It's advanced stations with the sides, and it's optional. It's not necessary.
So I'm gonna talk to them about looking at that option. Because there's going to be a lot of activity in that neighborhood. You already see it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to them. I said, you might want to do it and do the stations later on. No, this thing is amazing, man. This croquette. Yeah, so the course, man, the master's course today has been, especially with the all the problems and troubleshooting.
And then the Jim Maurer section too.
Yeah.
What happened when the lawyers get involved?
Yeah, that's what really got me. So.
Yeah.
And I just saw an example of that in these two houses. The guy was there 15 minutes. All he did was write up a contract and measure the property for liquid. That's it. He never looked inside, never found the damage.
I've got a new case I'm working on that it was the same way. They're graphing the house. They didn't even go like the circle around their business card style we joke about. They only did 3 sides. It looks like an upside down U. Right. And that's their graph. No markings. Is that what they're saying? Were they trenched? Is that supposed to be the building? Who knows what's going on? And of course, one of the owners is a lawyer, so then it hits the fan, and they're going to spend more money fighting over it than if they had really clear paperwork. And they're not responsible. They have a pretty good contract, but any kind of confusion definitely goes to the homeowner's side.
Yeah, see, that's one of the reasons I have an issue, and I get criticized for it, where I don't like to hire people from the industry. Because I don't know exactly how much they actually know. When I interview them, they have all the right answers, except when they're out in the field, they don't do it.
Yeah. And I know you're using the criteria corp too for personality test, which is Really good. I've been a big fan
I
of
was
that
just
too.
having a conversation this morning actually at 5 o'clock in the morning with a pest control guy in Alabama. He says, "Man, I'm having nightmares." They went and did it. They had a termite job to do, and they didn't even install the stations in the ground.
So he thought they did, and his technicians didn't install it.
No.
Yeah, if you can't trust your employees to go out,
So we started talking about the Criteria Corp, and he says, "Man, how do you do it?" I said, "Man, it takes so longer because you need the right personality. You need really a manager." So I tell him, "You need a personality of a manager." He says, "Yeah, but then I'll have to pay a lot more for a manager." I said, "Yeah, but the problem is these guys don't know their managers. They got the qualifications." So I'm looking for that quality of a guy who's a manager, who can manage time, who can manage the truck, the inventory, who's straight arrow, and he's having a terrible time.
Yeah, and some of my clients I'm working with, they've got people like that are young, out of college. You can see they've got it. They're going places in their life, whether they stay in the pest control industry, whether they jump into something else.
Right.
But they don't have the years of experience, so they haven't moved up to management level. The key is to be able to recognize that.
Right.
And I'll admit, with everyone that I've met and gotten to know with my clients, you can't tell in an interview because they're going to tell you all the right answers and what you want to hear. But it's once you see them working, I won't even say 60 to 90 days. You typically know in 2 to 4 weeks, what level employee they're going to be.
Yeah.
The Criteria Corp definitely helps. Probably the biggest thing with those background checks and personality tests, biggest thing I've seen going through all their questionnaires is when you get good employees, test your good employees. Make it clear to them that, hey, this isn't something you're going to get fired. There are no wrong answers, but you are a great employee, and I want to find more of you.
Right.
And it might be that the correct answers on Criteria Corp for you are different than that guy in Alabama or somebody else listening. Once they find what works for their business model, in a way it helps you clone more employees.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I pretty much figured out what the profile it is I'm looking for based on my hiring experience already of what I know fails. And so those are the personality traits I look for, and I look for people that are highly qualified in management. And then I got to see if they have the skills to do the physical work.
Yeah.
Because you might be all office, and he qualifies in management, but then he can't do the physical. But I look for that quality of a person that has management qualities, those skills that are just hard work.
Yeah.
And that seems to be because he's got to manage time, chemical, the truck, image. I mean, he says one of these people showed up. He was pulling his hair out. He says they were supposed to show up, and they didn't. She didn't wear her uniform that day. So she knocks on the door, and she's walking around the property, and the lady didn't want to open because she didn't know who it was, and she's freaking out, calling her husband. Her husband tells, just call the police if somebody's walking around the property looking at, and didn't know. Thank you, sir.
Unsweet.
Yeah, unsweet. Thank you. And so they didn't do the job and marked it as complete.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're lucky if that customer will let you back to the property. That could have been.
So these are the things that what's going through their head that they're not going to wear their uniform, not to say, hey, we're so and so, and I left my shirt or whatever, and they just left.
How many employees do they have?
Right now, I think he's got 2, and he's going for a 3rd now. Just hired him. He's in the same position I am. He's growing. He's in that. We're just in growth. We're like right now. I'm putting every penny back, taking like very little salary just so I can keep growing, because that's where it's cash intense right now. And he's at the same spot. And the thing is, he's in where he's seasonal, where everything drops, and then it picks back up. So these people got to go get part-time jobs in the summer, in the winter.
Oh, we got some more. Thank you.
So that's it's a huge challenge, man.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm now hesitant. I wanted to do the other route, but it's like, he's gonna thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
So I got to hire a certified operator, and so now it's going to be, he knows how to do termites. He's done it this way. Can I retrain him to?
Yeah.
And then do I send them here to for him to understand why it is. The chances are nobody's ever explained any of this to him.
And I'm definitely biased towards PMU, that's for sure. But
I know.
But yeah, train them on as much as you can.
Yeah, but I mean, when he sees it, when somebody sees the reality of their actions and how that could play out for them down the road, you can tell them. But then when they're sitting in a classroom, you're seeing it. Because I can tell you from being in CEU classes, nobody brings ever this subject up.
Yeah, and typically technicians think it won't happen to them. You know, a lot of them are the young 20-something
Right.
males. You're invincible, and that carries over to their work too.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons I've been against the production model only, because it just incentivizes you to rush and cut corners because you're making X amount, and then you feel that you can just do it quickly and rush it because you made a fortune on it, and then you don't take the time to do the inspection because you're on commission. So if you're on commission only and you got to make a sale to eat, then you're going to cut those corners.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody gets in trouble. So this is why I've been a fan of the salary model plus bonuses. But you can't tell me you want to make $100,000 a year and then still say, well, I'm not making commission. I'm getting paid a salary to inspect and to take my time, but I want to make the $100,000. So therefore, I'm still going to just write up the contract, and that's what I'm looking for in the criteria corp. That whole issue with integrity and that whole issue with honesty, and
if you have a significant part to bonuses, I'm definitely a fan of that.
Yeah,
I do lean more to the commission side, where I find it's easier to quality control the quality of the job than it is the time. Where, you know, say they sit in their truck for 3 hours during the day and just say, that job took too long. You know, it's really hard to counter that.
Right.
You know, if they're sleeping under an oak tree, you know, but if they're going to go back for a service call, and that more applies to lawn and THP, I will admit, because by the time you're getting service calls for termite, you're in a lot of trouble already. But generally with that, commission or some kind of base pay, but then with the bonus incentive, as you hire your new guy, be careful being too high on the salary too. I've seen it where people come in and they swear they're an $80,000 or $100,000 a year employee.
Show me your W-2.
Yeah. Well, show me what you can do.
Yeah, no, but show me your W-2, and that'll, that ends all arguments.
Yeah. But even if it is somebody you want to take a gamble on, I'd have no problem with you meet somewhere in the middle. You know, if you're wanting to pay 40, they're wanting 100. You know what? I'll pay you 50 or 60, but you show me you can earn 100K in 90 days. You know, you'll make that. But even then, I would lean more to give them like a 40K base pay.
Right.
And here's your bonus structure, where if you do what you're telling me you can do, then you will earn 100 grand every single year. Because I see so many people come in promising the world. Right. And then they have some bad months, something in their personal life, or they're in over their head. They thought they can do it, but they really can't sell, produce, do whatever the issue is, or manage the team, and they struggle.
Right. Yeah. No. I am all for the base, and then because I've been in sales my whole life, so I'd rather have a good base with a quota, a minimum quota that I have to meet, and then everything above that is something that you can earn.
Got a bonus on top.
Bonus on top, whether it's, but I would base it on KPI, where it has to be. Hey, I don't want to see 5 callbacks.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all production. Absolutely.
No. So I'm basing it more on the quality of the KPI. To where, hey, you're getting it. If you're telling me this is a 5-hour, we know this is a 5-hour job, and you did it in 3. I'm going to be suspect that it was done correctly. And I guess that's where what I was talking to him about is quality control. Is I go out and I do the follow-ups on my road services on my guys. I'll take 2-3 follow-ups and say, let me see if it was done, because you can verify. Was the IGR in place? Was the monitor in place? Was the ground leader bait in place? I just finished buying an inspection camera.
Oh, okay.
It got a really, what do you call that? An inspection camera. And it works awesome because you connect it to the phone. It's got a transmitter. The quality is amazing. I think I paid like 50 something bucks for it. It's got like a huge, so I can go in now underneath cabinets because we're supposed to put granular bait in the voids.
Oh, I got you. I see what you use it for, yeah.
So now I can inspect and say, where the heck is the granular bait? They didn't eat it all. It's not there. You're supposed to put Intice 10 and IBAN and Max Force or whatever. So we can verify 90% of the work that it was done. We know if the gel bait is in the right place based on our protocol. You know, on an initial, we're supposed to do all of that. On our initial, we're supposed to be able to seal. So I'll go in and I'll do a quality inspection and see what the control has been based on what he reported. How many's in the monitor? Or the monitor's in the right place. So if he's done it 80% right, we should get good control. If he slacked off and didn't do half of it, I can verify it. It's just like when I look and I say, okay, where's the, you know, you said you found it here in this area. Where did you foam? Where's the holes? Because you can still tell there's supposed to be a hole there. So I'm big on doing the job of a field service manager, not just responding to complaints, but actually going out and seeing, hey, is it done?
The other big one that goes hand in hand with that, I recommend to my clients, is do a service ticket audit. 1 day a month seems to be the magic number, where just pull all the tickets from 1 day a month. You know, maybe this month you pick the 17th. You know, next month it might be the 1st, and just you pick a random day. And you don't have to check every single service ticket as you grow.
Right.
Now, if you got 2 employees, maybe now you can. But as you grow, it gets a little bit harder to check.
Right.
But the techs in our industry, you know, the problem is a lot of the lack of training, and there's just a lot of stuff they don't know.
Right.
A lot of them want to do the right thing. They get in a hurry sometimes.
Right.
They cut corners.
Yeah.
And more often than not, I find they're doing most of the treatments right. Like they'll put the granular Entice where they're supposed to put it.
Right.
But they're not going to document. Maybe if it was the German roaches, they're not going to tell the customer about some sanitation issues you wanted them to tell. When we get to like this week, we're talking termite class, doing the WDO inspection reports,
right.
The termite contracts. That's where it's probably the most important. And that's what Jim was talking about a lot. Going through all those service tickets that are just filled out horrendously. That tech might have done a perfect treatment, but then just says, you know, treated and explained to the customer. They understand.
Well, it's kind of like the way, since I come from a sales management background, it's like, hey, you know, all contracts have to go approved by the sales manager before the sale gets approved. Because he wants to make sure you didn't cut that price unnecessarily. Are you selling every job at the bottom list of the prices to get the deal? So, hey, if this isn't, oh, where's the picture for this? Where's this file? Where's this? Go back. You're going back. If you didn't come into the office with that contract the way it's supposed to be filled out, I'm not signing off on you getting this job done. It's that simple. And then to my guys, I tell them on every follow-up, I need pictures of those monitors. I need to know what we actually caught and how good of a control. So what I'm looking at is, since we're using like pest routes, I'm thinking of bringing in an admin, which I wanted to do this year. So I'm doing that work now. So I'll go in through the day and hey, on this follow-up, where's the picture? Oh, it's on my camera still. I haven't uploaded. We'll upload it.
Yeah, and that'll be important in termite.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the new things in 2020, first time ever I've seen, the insurance companies are starting to require photos for all WDO inspections and termite jobs. I think it's great. Even with Jim's presentation today, where he had that house that probably about needed bulldoze for most and termites, and he had the picture from the road, and then he had going in each room, kind of showing the wall in the bedroom, and then he had the close-up, going in there, same in the crawl space. That's where I tell people to do the same way. Take a picture from the road, take a picture of the backyard, just a general condition of the house. You can see what's going on. And then take a really
I mean, do we want to take on that liability when we see that the house is in dire repair need, and then we're going to tell a customer, we can't do repair warranty on this house. Look how many repairs you need now.
Yeah.
And then if they didn't get it done in 20 years they've been living there, it ain't going to get done.
And in his case, even the new company that came in, they didn't even document it. They didn't catch half of what needed done. The house was already falling apart. And the new company put them under contract, which is pretty bad. Yeah. But assuming they found that and they were willing to do it and say, look, your place is falling down. We're going to give you a no damage repair coverage with retreatment only warranty. Here's what we're going to do. Go for it. I am perfectly fine with them. That is their choice. They can do it. But you got to document it correctly.
Yeah, and like he said, they tried to do the right thing by the client.
Yeah.
And they should have canceled that contract and not renewed, and they renewed it anyway because they were trying to do the right thing, and then, so it's you're trying to be a nice guy, and then tell a customer, after you've done a termite treatment, we don't want to renew you, but heck, you haven't done what you were supposed to do. So and we tell customer, my guys tell them all the time, he's like, look at this place. He takes pictures. Look at all this food on the floor. How am I supposed to control the ants when there's food all over the place? And he'll tell the client, he puts it in the report. So I make him put notes in the report that the customer can see, hey, you have this, you got that. See the pictures that we've uploaded because they got access to their portal and all that. So I'm constantly on them because these technicians, they don't want to offend the client. And by telling them, so I have to say, you have to be honest and transparent, candid with them in a nice way, but you have to be candid about, you have to do this, if not, we can't help you. And then sometimes I'm saying, look, I've very few times I've told them, let's walk away from that, because you're not going to be able to solve that issue. But we just did one that he says, man, it's bad. And they've had a company there, German roach bomb, they've had a company in that house now for over a year. And how do you not control a German roach problem in a house? And he says, the house is clean, but it's bad. The roach problem is bad. And they told me, no, we've had a company for a year. All they do is spray the floor every time we call them.
Yeah, they're never in control. Anything just building more resistance.
So that's one. So, all of this is, and again, today it's like, I just had an issue just today, which is funny. He knocks on the door, because we knock on the door in every service before we do the exterior. And nobody came to the door, so he waits there, It's a little old lady. So she sees him through the window and waves at him, and he waves back. So I get a call today from the lady. She says, hey, he didn't come inside, and I was having a couple of large roaches I saw. And I said, but I knocked on the door, and I waved at her, and she didn't come out and say anything to me. And it's like, she's old. You should go. So I said, from now on, if that happens, you go back and make sure. I said, hey, before you leave, are you having any problem? She says, I left the door open for him anyway. I said, how is he supposed to know that you're supposed to walk into the house? So it's this. He's 25 and she's 25 and he's 85. I mean, it's backwards. She's 80 like something, and it's like the whole communication thing. And it's like, oh, she should have said something. So she was waving at him to come in, and he's thinking, hi. So now we got to go back tomorrow and take care of it for her. But that could have been avoided. But
and as long as they're not hourly, whether it is on a salary or a commission, all right, he's got a call back to go back, but he knows how to avoid it next time for sure.
Yeah, and all my guys are on an hourly. They're all on hourly for that simple reason. But our callbacks are so low, and they're like I said, if I start seeing a trend where it's I'm going back to this type of home, our rule is 3 shots. They got 3 shots to solve it. If after 3 shots I still get another, they haven't, because they schedule their own follow-ups. So they say, hey, I got to come back. Yeah, she's having an ant problem. I'm going to come back. This guy just called us yesterday. We've been servicing the house. There's a fence right near the house, and he says, hey, these ants are coming out of the wood in my fence. Can you come take a look at it? So he doesn't spray the fence line. We only do the perimeter on the home, and sure enough, carpenter ants are there. So now he just automatically follows up. So if he hasn't solved it by 2 follow-ups, then I go and find out why he's having trouble, because we have the protocols written out for each insect. So they've got 3 shots. Rarely, I mean, I only have to go out maybe once a week right now on a customer that, we've got a continual problem and they haven't figured it out.
Yeah, it'll always be a little percent. Yeah, it looks like you got that dialed in pretty good.
But I just had one before I drove over here. We've had the account for almost a year, but he had to do some remodeling, and then he's still seeing large roaches. So we had done the original sealing, and then I go back in and says, well, let's see what we missed. Because we'll miss them. It's a big house. It's like 5 bedrooms, just 3,000 square foot house. And I went in, and I found more places that there were holes in the structure on the inside.
Exterior openings?
No, interior, but he had the garages. I'm not seeing anything ever in the garage. I said, they're coming in through the garage. I looked at the door, from the garage into the home, and there's a gap that big.
Gotcha.
He's seeing them in the kitchen. The laundry room in the kitchen is right there.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we've had houses before and we've never had problems. So you know, his wife is having a fit because she freaks out when she sees a roach. So I said, go back, find the other holes we also missed inside the home, like upstairs, in the closet, air conditioning closet, big hole like that. So let's seal that up, fix that door, and I want you to put monitors all over that garage. Because he's telling me there's no roaches in that garage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so say monitors will educate him pretty
So I
quick.
said, give me 30 days. I said, I'm not going to charge you.
Yes, please. One more.
I'm not going to charge you this month. Because, you know, you're obviously still having problems. I had him put like 7 monitors in that garage, inside the door, near the doorway, going up, inside the underneath the laundry room, everywhere. We're gonna go back in 30 days now, and I'll probably go back. So that's how we're dealing with. So that's how so I'm looking at when I hire an admin to do all the scheduling. I'm looking for a person that has like dispatch experience, control, and be like an assistant field service manager. So they're actually, you know, I think a person can easily manage 5 routes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Usually one admin for about 5 techs.
That's what
And
I'm
usually
looking
at
at.
that point, you're going to get a service manager for 5 techs.
Yeah, and
So
that's
if
what I'm looking
you're
at.
growing your bonus, you'll have growing your bonus, growing your business.
Yeah.
You'll have a service manager in there working with them and
Yeah, and
handle.
that's his job, is to do what I'm doing now. But I said, you know, if we can get somebody to say, hey, you finished this initial, there are no pictures uploaded. We need pictures. He's got to be that traffic cop reminding them that.
Yeah, and they'll be checking the vehicles, making sure those are in good condition. And
Yeah, no,
you know, not a
the
wreck.
good thing about them, like right now, every week I go, they're spotless. Because they wash them every week. They take it themselves, and he washes them on Friday, cleans it. When the service is done, it needs maintenance. We've got it set up to where we get a trigger about 150 days for maintenance. They take it in, get the tires rotated.
And a lot of companies aren't doing that till they get 10, 20 employees.
Yeah.
So having that straightened out now, that'll help you scale up when you get there.
Yeah.
Because you start getting above 10 employees, that's more than you can manage on a day-to-day basis. That's where you start getting like Alabama, where they're showing up not in uniforms.
Yeah.
You might not see people for a week or longer.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what's going on.
So with me, I'm staying on top of it, you know, daily. I saw this, I saw, hey, you didn't get me this. But the good thing with them is they know that they can communicate with me because I don't scold them about stupid stuff like that. It's more of, so they're like today, hey man, I just went to this property and the irrigation system, look at it. And he sends me a picture. And he says, look at it, it's on every day. I said, tell the owner, don't let the landscapers touch the irrigation, set it back. So he's on it, so they're constantly, hey, I was just at this house, you know, this is the problem I saw. Because they know that I go out with them in the field to fix it. I don't go out there to scold them about, you know, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And those are the kind of guys looping back to the Criteria Corp to, you know, if you haven't already, have them run it and see, you know, what qualities they have. Sometimes it's different than what you'd expect, but
and a lot of times for management, for me, it's good because there's some things I can accept. Like, you know, they're not. This is what I can't accept for managers when I get a lot of people, and I'm getting a lot of people that are they're non-communicative. They're very reserved. They're reserved.
Okay, so not outgoing, but yeah.
But so you got it. They won't tell you things. You got to like drag it out of them because they just won't tell you. And a lot of issues with a lot of self-esteem issues. I'm seeing a ton of that, and I see a combination. And looking at those reports where people just don't communicate, and then they're very not in the they just don't have really good self-esteem. It comes like really low, so they're not going to be aggressive with the customer. They're not, you know, having a technician that's not open, that there's no openness, or a manager that has no openness is terrible, because how is he going to give feedback to his people? How is the technician? So those are the things that I'm looking at. So I said, okay, well, it's not too bad. I can work on it, but I know that's going to be something I got to work on as a manager.
Yeah, and it's really hard to, and those are borderline personality traits that get really hard. You can do things to boost self-esteem, but but it's tough. You know, somebody, you work on somebody's self-esteem, and they think you're putting them down, and it's hurting their self-esteem, and they feel threatened.
Yeah. So what I do with them, like one of my techs is like that. He's just not very. With me, he's very open, but he knows that I don't get on his case about it. But that timidness to tell a customer, hey, you got to fix this, and he's got, hey, by the way, so I'll remember, like, hey, did you tell them, remind them that they needed to fix it? I said, yeah, they still haven't done it. And I said, all right, tell them again, and if they don't fix it by the next time you're there, give me a call, and I'll tell them. And
that's all that's the place.
So that way he feels like, yeah, at least I don't have to be, I don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah, and for finding people like that with Criteria Corp, my experience with it, it's not the end-all, be-all. I have hired people that end up doing great, and they're all right on Criteria Corp. Nothing horrendous, but nothing flashy. And that's probably those are some of the best employees that I've hired. And even now doing the consulting, I still have some clients. I will do basically the HR for them. Right. I'll interview, I'll ask the questions. They can't BS me about what they know of termites or pest control. Kind of filter through that. I'll use the Criteria Corp, go through that. Right. And some of the best ones I've hired, they're just kind of so-so. Right. They're okay. And maybe plain Jane would be the word, just middle of the road, nothing flashy.
That's usually the best tech, because you don't need somebody that's so extroverted that they're a social butterfly, and then they're chatting up every customer for 45 minutes.
But even manager too, that they're not the extrovert, they're not angry, they're not a drill sergeant.
Right.
But they're calm, and a tech comes in upset, and they can talk to them and, okay, what's the matter? Tell me about it. Right. What's going on? And well, here's why that customer's so mad. Here's why that coworker's so mad. Here's what we need to do to fix this. And they can kind of de-escalate things a little bit, but also they're not going to take any BS too. Right. They're going to do the truck inspections, and hey, we talked about this last week. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I found are some of the best ones, where you want those perfect scores in all categories.
We got to do what we got to do, and that's it. Yeah. So the people love them. I look for those kind of people that, how is the customer going to perceive them? And are they going to be, likable with the client? And then, like I said, everything is about, like, this idea that you're going to hire a guy that you're not going to have to manage. This is the biggest mistake. I see all of the newbies hiring people they want to hire and they want to manage by abdication, where they just let the guy go and he knows what he's doing. I'm going to let him do it, and then just let him ride. And then you're like, he's a mess.
Yeah. Every single time.
So you have to manage. You have to manage.
Yeah, and that's whether you're managers, you say, all right, I'm going to give you a second branch, or whether it's a tech working under you. Yeah, you always need to manage.
You need to manage.
Have the KPIs, and some people will be great with very limited input. So here's the numbers you got to hit, and maybe you don't talk to them for 30 days, and whether they're sales or production, here's your number, here's your work. But you got the KPIs, and if they're falling behind during the month, you're talking to them. Yep. And if things are great, awesome. Other people, you might be talking to them almost every single day. Yeah. And depending on the position and the company, it might work either way. I've seen it both ways. I will say, back to the Criteria Corp, when I've been wrong, or I'll take like the Criteria Corp and I'll take my interview with them and kind of weigh both of them. When I've been wrong, say me versus Criteria Corp. Criteria Corp, don't go near them. Their scores are so horrible. Yeah. But man, they just were a superstar at their interview. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Usually less than 2 weeks and they're gone.
Yeah, no, that's what I figured. I've learned because I've learned from hiring and then having to fire them. And thank you, sir. It was awesome.
Can I take both of these?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and then what I do is I've got the pre-interview that we do on video, where they always get the same questions, and it's automated. And then I see what that personality comes across, as this guy's never going to be able to walk into a house. You just see it. And then I look at the resume, and there's no real customer service. Worked in retail, customer service a little bit. So, and then I match that against the criteria, if it ever gets that far. Usually they don't get that far. And then I look at the resume, all three, and I say, this is worth my time. Then I bring them in and I offer them a half day to ride around with me and say, let me show you what it's actually you're going to be doing. And so I usually reserve the worst road job that I have, for that. And then I can see what his reaction is, look at the body language, how he's interacting.
Good.
And then that's how usually I can make a decision. And like I tell people, then it's still 50-50. I still got a 50-50 shot that he's actually going to make it. But I feel that it's better than an 80-10 or 90-10 or an 80-20 shot without it. Because I've done it, shot from the hip. Oh yeah, this guy sounds great. And like I get a call from the client. He was here 5 minutes and he puffed something behind the kitchen and he was gone. And I'm like, what? So I go over there. Yeah, nothing was done. The guy basically was ghosting the account. He learned to do it. So they learned to be at certain companies, ghost an account.
Yeah, the ones I'm interested to learn more, because even as a consultant, I'm constantly learning more too. As I said, those middle of the road, those kind of plain Jane, just get the job done. Do a great job, but nothing flashy. You're not bragging about it, but whether they're entry level tech, mid management, upper management, they get it done. Those are the ones that I'm trying to hone in on a lot, because I've had some people that I've hired for companies, and it'll be that, all right, they start as a tech, they're plain Jane. About the same time or a week or two before or after, you hire a couple superstars. Everything looks great. They're doing the interview, and for whatever reason, they're gone in 90 days or 6 months. Oh, good. Yeah. Thank you. And they're moving on.
Right.
And where then you got this guy or a group of guys that are just middle of the road.
That's pretty much what I have. Those are the guys I have. It's just, I don't have to hold their hand. But when it comes to the challenge with the middle of the road guys is the sales part. When I ask them to upsell, that's where they stumble. So I don't push that issue. I don't make it an issue that they have to upsell. I make it as an option. If they want to make more money, it's there, and they can use it. Like even with reviews, getting them to tell the client every single time, hey, can you give me a review? Can you give me a review? I gave them a high incentive, even $25. And still, it's tough for them to ask the customer for something. So do I want, I figure if I can get A and B players, that the guy does his job, people like him, there's no callbacks, there's no issues. He's not gonna pull out 20 stops. Like one of my guys, like I'm testing now, see how many stops he can actually handle before he starts. Hey, I need to move it to tomorrow. I couldn't make it, and we got distances job. We're going Dade to Broward, North Miami to South Dade, and I try to do the route density thing. But at 10, with one new start a day, that's the limit for him. He can't do much more than that. He starts to, he's already pushing 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's done. So I said, okay, I realized he's going to push that, $800 a day, $700. He's not going to be that guy that rocks, but he's consistent. His stops are all consistent. They're 20 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour and a half on a new start. So he's thorough. He's not missing a whole lot of things. So like I said, if he can get it 80% right, I'm happy. So that's where I'm doing. So now, if I get that A player that says, I can sell and I can do, that's great. I just can't make that the standard for everybody, because I realize I'd rather he be a great tech than a great tech that sells.
That's what I'm going to say too, where all the kind of plain Jane type techs, I don't want to imply they're mediocre or even just average. Where if you can go out to $800 a day, that's pretty darn good. 5 days a week, he's knocking out $4,000 a week. He's knocking out $17,000 a month.
My goal is to minimum. Right now, to do the minimum is to do 666 a day. That's like my minimum I'm setting as a standard. Because if they can do more than that, I'm looking at a minimum base salary, like hourly, plus then a percentage, so I can get them to that 20+% on production. For my lawn tech, I'm looking at more because he has to do a lot more work. But if I can get him up there, then he's pulling in that 40-something thousand, 50 for 8 hours a day.
Everybody's happy with that.
Right. So that's what I'm figuring. If I can get him to that 48,000. So my minimum is, I'm looking at the numbers at 666 is a magic 13,333 a month minimum. That's going to be the minimum, and that's going to get them, 40-some thousand. And then if he wants more, then hey, the additional little sale,
Yeah.
you throw this in here. You know, you can.
And Miami's tough with the traffic and being so spread out.
Yeah.
So that hits hard.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not pushing him. So I'm figuring how much can he actually handle. It's that 10 seems to be that. So if we can do 10 and we're doing 85, which we're doing bi-monthly, you know, we're at 850. So if he can do 7 or 6 with a new start, and because the new starts, you know, he can take an hour and a half easy.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So that's how long it takes. So I'm comfortable, like, and I'm giving up a little bit more margin on my side. And then I don't need that 60% like everybody's shooting for. If I get closer to that 50% profit on the route, I'm happy. Even if I got to give up some more so that he's happy, and he's, you know, because he's doing, you know, the lawn is a lot hard work.
Yeah.
You know, when it gets to 100 degrees and in the summer, and he, you know, after 6 hours, he's going to be toast.
Yeah, and it is hard to hit the numbers on the lawn. You know, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's easier in GHB, but I normally go with like that 17,000 number, which is at 4,000 a week, 4.3 weeks in a month. You come out about 17K. And usually that's where I see things kind of start meshing. They're getting the money they want, you're getting the money you want. Everything's starting to come together. It's 800 a week. And I see a lot of times the text will be, hey, I knocked out $2,000 today. All right, but you pushed all your recalls to tomorrow. You got $0. You know, now, you know, you're
that's
going
where
down.
the
200.
That's where the management training comes in. To manage your time, manage your route. I don't want them to be focused on that production number because I don't want the numbers to be reflective of the quality of the tech, because one guy's going to be faster, one guy. So if I say everybody's got to hit 17, and one guy's a really good guy, he's a really good tech, because he just takes longer, then that's going to really, and he's tends to be more of that introvert guy, he's going to get totally turned off. I'd rather say, yeah, I can take a little hit on him, but dang, I got no callbacks. Customers like him. He gives me no trouble. He shows up for work. You know, I can't be that corporate guy that wants to just have that number. I just can't stand it.
I got you. And even the corporate guys, too. A lot of them, it won't be where, and what's, maybe not the national companies, let me walk that back. Maybe the regional companies, they'll have a tech board up, and every tech will have his route, and you'll see the numbers will be different. You know, they might measure it in monthly numbers, might be annual numbers. But let's use those monthly numbers there. One guy might be 17 grand, one might be 13, one's 15, and they'll play with it. Like you mentioned with this guy, you give him maybe one more account, see if he can do it. Oh, he's pushing 6 o'clock, take it off, and they'll do it on a monthly level.
Right.
So, you know, I saw one tech when I used to work at another company. We had tech doing 30-some thousand on tech. 30-some thousand a month. You gave it to him, he'd do it. Right. He was loving his paycheck. He said, give me more. Give me more.
Right.
And they just kept doing it. As long as you keep your quality up and all your KPIs are great, they kept doing it. But that is a rare case that you get somebody doing that.
Yeah.
But you see each person. So you decide what's your minimum, which you have already, or here's the minimum really for you to make money having that guy in a truck and working with them. And you see, you know what? He's doing 13.5, and he's doing great. Awesome. Roll with it.
And if he's happy with his money, you know, then that's fine. And if, you know, and one of the things is, like, he doesn't rush because he's afraid he's going to make a mistake. I know how he's thinking.
That's good. That's most of our people do not have attention to detail, which is the other end of that spectrum.
Right.
So somebody you can build his confidence over time and get him to go a little bit faster. Somebody who's rushing.
But his numbers are consistent because I see the stops. His GHP stops are consistent, 18 to 22 minutes on there. And then on the new start, he misses a lot of details when he has to do sealing. I'll go in and I'll go with the light, and I'll see. You see that whole bottom? It was a tight drawer. He's a big guy. You know, he's 6'2", and he's doing like 250. So he's a pretty big guy. And I said, you know, you need to stick your head under there and get that thing sealed. And that's why I do the spot check. So I just write it up. I don't make a deal out of it. I say, hey, when you go back to that house, double check that sink. Don't say anything. Just double check it and reseal it again. And I won't seal it for him. I don't do it. I let him go back and figure out where he made that mistake. So he learns to duck his head more. And it's just that way I do it. So he doesn't, you know, like, oh, you know, he's not riding me. You know, every little thing, you know, it's like, no, you missed half the seal.
The key for you is you're learning their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So that's my thing. My other guy, he's, I'm going to see how he does in the summer, because he's going to be, he started in June with me.
Okay, so he did a summer already. He knows the Eaton quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got. So I'm gonna see how he does this summer. But now he's got. And then one of the ththings is trying to teach him to be patient. He gets impatient. I says, "What's up with all this fungus now? I'm doing my job and I'm getting all these callbacks on fungus." And he's finding them because we don't do callbacks. What I do is if you show up to the yard and it has a fungus, it's an automatic follow-up in 2 weeks. So he's frustrated that he's having to go back. And I said, "It's winter. Every time the temperature dips, we're going to get an issue." And he wasn't used to that in the summer. So I said, "This is why I tell you, you got to be patient. You got to wait till you go through all 4 seasons so that you figure it out." And then it's like the lawn, irrigation is too high. And man, but I lowered it. I said, "I know, but that's the way it is. That's why you have a meter. Stick that meter in the ground." So it's just, it is a lot of handholding. A lot of guys that are technicians, they just don't have the patience for the management thing.
And if they're happy with that, that's perfect.
And that's what you got to look forward to. You got to play the management game and realize not everybody's like having children. My kids are totally different. And,
mine too.
Yeah,
We've got identical twin boys. Personalities are so different.
It's the same way
it's amazing. Same DNA. Yeah. Personalities so different. But even I talked about some people not for the management. My best lawn tech I had in my company, he had owned his own company. And actually, the recession in 2008 put him out of business.
Wow.
And so he knew the good, the bad. He knew what I was
That's
going
the year
through.
I went into business. I went into business in 2009. I know about eating a lot of crap.
But that's where he was probably one of the best employees I ever had.
Right.
Because he knew what I was dealing with.
Right.
And he knew if I asked him to do something, I was willing to go do it myself.
Right.
And I needed help. If I said, hey, can you pull off of that job, go over here and help somebody, else. So he was a good team player.
Yeah. No, that's the same with my guys, because they if I need you to drop something and, hey, or I'm notorious for dropping in stuff at the last minute. They're finishing up. They thought they're going to go home at 4. Hey, bro, I got a new start. I just sold it. Okay. I'll go do it. That's just the way it is, because I'm notorious. Like, they'll start the day and it's like, man, there's only 4 stops. And I said, don't worry, bro. That'll be filled by the end of the day. I'll sell something. So they're like, they'll start out, I'm going home at noon today? And I'm like, nah, don't worry. At 4 o'clock, he's still out there because I sold 4 more. So that's just the way it is. I mean, it is challenging right now. We've been hit with the whole COVID thing in Miami. Our customers, man, 30% of our business, apartment roaches for individual clients that, make I think the whole household income is less than 30 something a year.
Has that apartment dried up for you? The apartments got hit hard? Okay.
Yeah, the apartments got hit hard. That was like 30% of our business. Yeah. And we lost some big city accounts. And because they changed,
that makes sense. They're closing up. Yeah.
Yep, they closed up and then they changed their policies and all that. So that we took a big hit. That's why I'm looking at I have the time. Plus, I got 2 guys that I'm like, I need to keep busy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm looking at it. I can train. I know I can train my lawn guy to do termite. Because he's got the attention to detail more for the plants. He's already learned to see stuff. So, and plus, he's young. He's 30 something. I think he's 33. So he's got muscles that, his arms are the size of my head. So he's young and he can drill holes. And he likes doing physical work. He doesn't like the sales part. He hates it. So I dropped that issue with him, trying to get him to sell. I said, try it, maybe if you like it. So I realized he likes just to be busy and work.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I gotta keep him busy. So that's why I'm looking at this now. So if I get another termite guy, that's fine. Go take a couple of hours and learn to do it. I'm good, man. 1, I got it. So it's the growing pains.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm here, and it's like every time I travel, I don't know how you do it, bro. I just the traveling thing. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, 4:30. I couldn't sleep. Sleeping on another bed. It takes me when I go on vacation, it takes me 3 to 4 nights.
I can sleep anywhere. So
dude, I used to be able to do that when I was a kid, but now I go anywhere 3 to 4 nights before I can get adapted to where I'm sleeping.
If I'm traveling across the country, if I'm tired, I'll get on the plane. I'll be asleep while they're still boarding, and no.
The thing is, I can't do it because I got sleep apnea.
Yeah.
So I gotta wear a CPAP to sleep. So I can't fall asleep anywhere. So yeah, so thank you, sir. So
Thank you for dinner.
no, you're welcome, bro. Appreciate it.
But yeah, I'll fall asleep before it takes off. I will sleep through takeoff and everything. And when the wheels hit the ground, boom. Oh, we're here. Okay. So, but yeah, as far as the travel, I love it. It's yeah, long travel, not as much fun. I would not want to be one of like the traveling sales reps 5 days on the road.
I was just having dinner with these guys from Catchmaster.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they were like, man, they're like the South, Midwest group, and they're like all over the place all the time, man. I don't know how they have their marriage. You know, I could have never done it.
Yeah, because even Bob does Florida, your sales rep in Florida, and he's like the Southeast, I think the Caribbean, and he's all, I'm sure not now with COVID, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I did 1 year as the MGK rep for just Florida, and I was typically on the road 3 days a week, and that wasn't bad. I could do that. This is very similar to PMU. We have a class Wednesday, Thursday, half on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm home having dinner in South Florida by 6 p.m. Yeah, typically. So that's not too bad. And also, that's only 18 weeks of the year.
Right.
So, and then I got a trip coming up to Miami. I'll be down there for a an expert witness case, looking at that. I'll get up to Georgia or Alabama is about as far as I go. But those aren't too often here.
Anything more than 4 hours, like I've been looking at how far do I want to expand, because I'm going to be basically the field service manager for a while, and I'm looking at West Palm and then Naples. Like I don't want to like anything. I'm looking at right now everything south of Lake Okeechobee. Because I can leave in the morning, be in West Palm, deal with any problems, and then come back and be home that night for dinner. But 4 hour drive up here, it's like it drives me insane. Anymore, I used to drive 50,000 miles a year.
And even if you're just putting out fires, that's a lot.
Yeah.
When I was hired in at Hewlett, I was technical director for them, and at that time they had 13 branches. They had Tampa, Orlando, Flagler Beach, almost to St. Augustine,
right,
and everything south from there. And I never even got to all the branches. Where I was there, I think 9 months before they sold all the northern branches, and they're doing what you're talking about. They focus from pretty much Sebastian south,
right,
and they only go to Fort Myers and Naples on the other coast.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. And then if I do anything in the Keys, then that will probably be my last. Putting a tech in the Keys, but yeah, I got to be able to just zoom over to Naples, see what the problems are, deal with the techs, and head back. I don't want to.
And the Keys is rough too. So kind of look at it. There's not a whole lot.
The Keys is it's as long as going to Orlando to go drive all the way to the Keys. So so I'm debating that whether I want to go into the Keys. I know a lot of the guys like from branches are driving their people from West Palm into the Keys. I'm like, that's insane, dude. Yeah. Because the techs will go down, and I think they get a hotel.
Yeah. And the big one I hear from the people in the Keys is they hire in the tech, and everybody's like, woohoo, living the dream. I move down to the Keys, and they say it takes them a good solid 2-3 years to completely convert to the salt life, and then they stop showing up for work, and they basically get converted into a local.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world down there.
Yeah, it is. I know. I like going down there, but it's just too long of a drive. So for me, I like the quiet. So I just like Naples. It's one of my favorite places to go to Sanibel, Marco Island, Sanibel, and just hang out there for 2 to 3 days and decompress. I haven't done it in a while. So I'm going to enjoy now when I go, I guess. I'm going to go over, after I'm done here, I'm going over to Deerfield because Paul Bello is doing his seminar.
I've got to make it to one of his.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun because it's half-day seminars. They're mornings, and then you got the whole afternoon to goof off. And so I'm going to take a little mini break from this.
Yeah, he's going to be at PMU coming up one of the future classes.
Okay.
I can't recall which one he is doing offhand.
Okay.
But kind of like what Jim Howard did today.
Right.
He's going to come in and be a guest.
Yeah, because he does the same thing. He does the expert witness thing, and he does and he's done it for us. So he's going to be, Fishman is going to be there, he told me, at this event, which is good. I'm going to enjoy seeing him. And then that's it. I'm going to be done, and I'm going to be wondering, I'm waiting to see when Bobby Corrigan comes down for that 2 day. So definitely, and I might bring my GHP tech with me on that one.
Yeah, and knock on wood, PMU having Corrigan down again. Tentatively, we would like to be January next year. So assuming COVID goes, bye-bye this year,
Right.
We'll see what he has to say, because he's not traveling right now.
Yeah, he's older too. I mean, he's not a young.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you got to watch it.
Yeah, so if everything is passed and good by beginning of the year, and we're on track, that was what, third week of January, I believe. Maybe
I wanted to
second
come to
January.
the last one. I couldn't, and I heard it was really good, but I couldn't come to that. I said, "Man, what do you talk about for 2 days about rodents?"
Oh, it's 3 days. It's like a PMU class of 2.5 days.
All about rodents.
All about rodents.
Jeez.
And there was not enough time. Just like this with termites.
Dude, how do
It's
you
just
talk that
amazing.
much about rodents? I mean, I can understand termites and all the laws and everything, but rodents.
But it's so much into their behavior.
Right.
We even, the most amazing part is everybody went out and did a rodent inspection. And when he first came down, I drove around with him. We scoped out the city. One of his favorite things is find a shopping center, like something like this,
Right.
and walk around and basically critique it front and back. Just go in, and that's what they do in New York City, and just walk around there. And we found a couple in Apopka that was like, oh yeah, look at this, all here, all there. And then when we got to the MREC, same way. Looking around there, that's where he's inspector out here, and it's nice and clean, and little activity that you think is going on there. It butts up to a county park. And then they've got all the greenhouses. That a lot of time there's vegetable matter in the greenhouses.
Right.
There were burrows all around the greenhouses the class was finding. And then he's coming over, he's talking to some of the people. And they're like, oh yeah, I go to Home Depot and buy rat bait all the time, so they don't eat my research plants. So they don't pay for any pest control as far as rodent control goes.
Right.
They're at the facility, but they're doing multi-million-dollar research in those greenhouses.
Wow.
And the rats are eating their research
But
plants.
this is what
That's just amazing.
Yeah, this is what I was looking at, like the company that does the pest control and all this, and it's like we have all these smart people, and before we do these deals, do you think we should discuss this?
And it's people with PhDs going to buy the the rodent bait at Home Depot and putting it out for the rats. Nobody says a word, and we teach PMU at that facility.
No, that's bizarre. Yeah, I know. We were discussing that the other day, and when we were talking with Faith about those issues, but it's the funniest thing in the world. I know. I gotta bring my guy. If my other guy, he's learning English because he's just been here. Actually, believe it or not, he's already learned English, and he's been here. This is going to be his second year from Cuba, and he writes all his reports in English. You know, everything he does it in English. He's learning to talk to. I make him talk to the client. I said, no, the client doesn't speak English. Just talk to him anyway. Figure it out. And and I just throw him out there like that, and he figures it out. So now when he gets a little bit more, because it's intense for him to sit through that much information. But I want to bring my GHP guy to when the next GHP course. Yeah. And then send them down here for 3 days. I might come with him. We come together. I would like for him to do that because I think, and then I'm not going to put him in termite. It's too intense for him. He's not, and he's here for the short term because he's studying physical therapy. Yeah, and if you're not doing termite yet, so once he starts, getting his feet wet on that, and realizing what's going on, then you send him to PMU, and okay, I've seen that in the field, it makes sense. Yeah. Right now, it's all just kind of hypothetical, and and I usually try to do both. I try to teach the practical and the book stuff, and then the practical. Like the other day, the second time, he's actually seen a white-footed ant because we don't have them that much anymore. We used to. When I started out in 2007, 8, man, it seems like every other call was a white-footed ant call. Now to find one, it's like rare. I mean, I saw some in West Palm Beach not too long ago, but it's the second time he's seen it. So I said, what ant is that? He says, bro, this ant is trailing this way like this. What the heck is it? And he says, well, I think it's this. And I said, no, look at that body. He says, I don't know. Because you can't tell from pictures. You can't. It isn't that you got to see it in the fields. I said, that's a white-footed ant. Just bait that trail with thickwood, and that's it. And it's, so sometimes how do you, he's never seen a termite.
And that'll be the thing to get them trained where when you do get that curveball,
Right.
because maybe it's something nobody's seen, it's brand new.
Yeah.
You know, like the conehead termite, stuff like that. And some people are just looking at it thinking it's normal.
Yeah.
And then it took one day somebody came along and said, whoa, that is something different. I don't know what it is, but this is something new.
Right.
We need to take a look and figure out what's going on
Right.
here. And so if he gets trained to just recognize something is different, he
Right.
can find somebody with the right answer, whether that's you,
Yeah.
or even if you say, I don't know what the answer is. Let's take it
Yeah,
to Fort Lauderdale.
he knows
RNC.
to get samples every time.
Yeah.
Like if he can't figure it out, I can't.
Yeah.
He sends me a picture, I can't figure it out. I said, bro, bring me a sample of that.
Yeah. And
So-
he can conquer the world with Pest Control doing that.
Yeah. So that's what I do. Like how did I catch that one?
Mhm.
You know, that stump. I'm like, I'm gonna take a sample,
Mhm.
and then I took it home, put it under my microscope, and I said that head is definitely not, you know,
Yeah.
drywood. It's definitely not sub. You know, that looks like a. And then I was looking at the mandibles, and I was trying to find the little.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
Couldn't see it in
Yeah.
my microscope, so then I took it to Siobhan, and he was in a meeting. He says, "I'll look at it right now," and he looked at it. He says, "What do you think it is?" And I said, "I think it's formosan." He says, "You got it. It's formosan." So yeah, we confirmed that we had the both of them. So that's been, you know, but getting that, and also the curiosity.
Mhm.
I got to get these guys to be curious.
Mhm.
You know, look around, man. Something doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Question everything.
Oh, yeah, and it's amazing how much is under our nose. You know, an average sales guy could have gone out there, saw the baseboard in the closet with the native subs.
Yeah.
Yep, native subs, $800. Okay, sign right here. Trench treat the house. Never take a look at the stump in the yard.
Yeah, no, and it was
never
right
even
there.
know it was there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then no, and the thing is that when the reason I found there's a the door frame is here, the bathroom. This is where they found the original termite because the husband took it off because he saw stuff coming out of there, so he took off the whole door frame.
Yeah.
But then when I walk, I'm going upstairs into the attic, and the attic is like
Yeah.
to look through it. It's like I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking everywhere, looking down the trusses, looking around that door because I usually find something, find nothing, coming down.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I turn and I see the little dimples in the wall.
Mhm.
And like, son of a gun. Oh yeah, there's a little mud. So I found the little mud, and then it turns out the stack
Mhm.
coming down through the wall, the bathroom backs up to that.
Mhm.
So they obviously came in
Yeah.
to where that pipe is, and they were coming up, and they never made it all the way to the top.
Yeah.
It's about halfway, about 6 feet up.
Yeah. And see all that behavior and detective work.
Yeah.
That's what Bobby Corrigan does for the rats.
Yeah.
Just talks about
that's why I'm
their
so
behavior
curious
and seeing what's going on and where they come
To
from.
observe it. I would have never, because in all my years, and I don't know, and I was going to ask you this. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Since we do a lot of L&O, and we're using a lot of imidacloprid,
Mhm.
like exclusively for my lawn insects, we use imidacloprid.
Mhm.
And we're treating around the perimeter with, 3 times a year with pimpernel.
Mhm.
I've never seen termites in any of my clients' home. Could that be bringing them down? When we're
It
spraying,
could.
imidacloprid
Usually-
every 2 months?
Yeah, usually the amount you're putting out is so low.
Okay.
Or if you kind of calculate how much premise would you put around a house for termite treatment,
Right.
and doing 4 gallons per 10, and then what you're putting out on a lawn, and don't quote me on the label, but I want to say the lawn rate is something like 0.2 ounces per thousand.
Yeah, it's 0.5.
Or 0.5. Okay.
Yeah, between 0.4 and 0.6. So
Okay.
we'll do like 0.5.
And the termite rate offhand, since we're trying to think, is that a 0.6 or?
I don't know because I've never done it. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the lawn rate is much lower than the termite rate, so it's a more dilute product, and you're spraying it out over maybe 1,000 square feet or so, or
Right.
or a couple gallons per 1,000, compared to 4 gallons per 10 linear feet in a 6x6 trench.
Okay.
So it's usually not enough.
Not
So
enough
it
to
can.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I told my friend, I said, he does termites, so I said, bro, I've been in this 14 years. I've never seen a termite tube anywhere in a house. In all of the houses I've ever done. Never noticed it on the perimeter, never seen it in anywhere have I seen a termite tube. I know what they look like.
Yeah.
I've never seen one. So I'm wondering if doing those applications is actually helping prevent it or not, because I've never seen it. I've never been exposed to termites until now. And then it turns out the first one I walk into, that because hey, I've got this, and I'm like, oh yeah, but then it was there. I don't know. It's just been odd to me. I've always had that question. I said maybe because we're doing a pimpernel every quarter, and we're doing a lawn. with imidacloprid all the time for years.
And I guarantee there's plenty of those customers that still have termites.
Right, because we just haven't looked inside.
Absolutely. Okay. And especially.
So that's not an indicator. You need to do the inspection.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you started doing termites where they're calling you, like it might be now you're their lawn guy, and then they're calling Terminex for the termites.
Well, they do. A lot of my customers have Terminex or they're another company, and they got them, a termite service from them. They come once a year, and they got that service. But most of the time it's been drywood. I look at it and like, it's drywood. And I got to send it to my buddy. I just give him a call. He'll handle it for you. And most of the time he tents it because he doesn't do tentless.
Yeah.
He's not comfortable with tentless. I got another guy that does all he does is tentless. So I send him all my tentless termite jobs. And the customer doesn't want. I says, well, talk to them both, and you feel who you're comfortable with, and whatever you feel that is the right answer for you, deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's how I've handled it in the past.
Yeah. And if you start doing that yourself for the termites, where those calls are coming to you and you're not forwarding it out, I guarantee you go into those Formosan neighborhoods, you're going to see.
Well, now I know because I can look at the map and say, yeah, I'm suspecting. So
I've been in houses where every single rafter in the roof has got a tube going up and down it of Asian termites, and that one was less than 5 years old too. Not a whole lot of damage. Kind of knock on wood was a good thing for them. But they had just done an exploratory tube on every piece of wood. It was amazing. Maybe the wood's better over here, maybe over here. Every single rafter. Yeah,
and the way that that cone looks when they're out on a tree, because it's a tree insect.
Oh, the conehead?
No, not the conehead. Yeah, even the what was it? The one that they were showing on the tree, was that a conehead?
Yeah, with the big nest.
Yeah, with the big nest. The big nest.
To do that,
that thing is black and it's dark.
It jumps out quite a bit.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to see some of those. But yeah, no, I would have never noticed half of the things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of back to Dr. Corrigan, that's one of his quotes he uses. I think it's an old E.O. Wilson quote of the woods are always empty to the lazy hunter.
Right.
If you're not trying to look, you're not wanting to look, there's so many things you don't see.
Right.
And then once you know what you're looking for, it's amazing the level of things you see. And, and this COVID thing gets passed, and you go on vacation to the Bahamas or the Caribbean, it's hilarious. I think somebody had just posted in Pest Cemetery or one of the online groups about some of the coneheads where they're so excited they traveled somewhere. And that's what I see. They're all over. And all the locals are like, "What's the matter with you?"
Yeah, right. Something wrong with this guy. Yeah, I know. That's that. Yeah, we're so close to there. It's amazing we don't have more.
Yeah.
Because think about all the cruise ships and.
Yeah. And the cruise ships are at least all steel, but these little.
Yeah, but think about it. You get it on your hat or.
Yeah.
You bring it over with something you picked up and.
Yeah, one here, one there for the termite won't so much do it, but the ones where they're pretty much like ants. So just like your white-footed ants getting into something.
Yeah, they're like tramp ants.
Yeah. They'll get into the boat down in the bilge, and they got water down there. They got wood. So mostly these old Bertrams and Carver type boats that are going back and forth. Maybe even just a center console fisherman that's going out to the Bahamas and back and forth. That's where they dock up there, and they get a couple of those on the boat. Start a colony. That's how they got on Dania Beach originally. And this new place they have is a different marina in Dania. So that's the main thing they're suspecting is the boats.
The boats coming in from smaller boats that are. Will they attack like teak?
Probably not.
Yeah, because most of the thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Most of the boats have going to be teak on their floors and the wood.
That's going to be the nicer wood you see when you start getting into the stringers and and even the decking. A lot of times that's plywood. If you're lucky, it's composite, but it's not even going to be teak plywood. It's going to be the cheaper stuff. The pretty wood you see is going to be the teak.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be. Oh, by the way, did Faith ever bring that the thermal camera?
Yes, it's on spec on her desk.
Because I got mine. I got the little C5.
Okay, cool.
And what I want to do is
side by side.
Yeah, I want to do a little side by side to see the quality because I've seen it in video.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see the comparison. because I just got it. It's pretty good. I mean, I took it to my mother's house, and I know that she was having a humid problem. And where I found it is right at the edge of the ceiling. It's just, you can see the color. It's just the clarity of the video isn't there. And when I was noticing the comparison between the clarity of the video on the an E8, you guys got an E8?
I think ours is the E6, which is now the E8 is what they sell. The specs are very similar.
Right. So supposedly the C5 has the same sensor, just not the same lens for the quality.
Gotcha.
So you get the same. It's just the clarity on this one is much more refined.
Yeah.
Plus, I ordered to play around with it. That's an expensive toy to play around with, but I ordered it anyway.
Yeah.
The Termatech.
Termatrack?
The Termatrack, yeah. So I ordered the full one, and then I also ordered the separate moisture meter, the one that you saw, the one you brought into class. I bought that one, but I got the newer version.
Okay.
So it's just I'll have a backup, and then I got I bought the borescope too.
Yeah.
To be able to see.
Yeah, I've got one of those on the rodent jobs. I've used that same exact borescope.
So I got the borescope. So now we're able to go in, and the whole idea is that we're going in and doing a really thorough inspection with all the available tools, so that at least we have a good understanding of what's happening in that house. And that's mostly for me too. I mean, do I want to walk away from this knowing that there's this much damage?
And especially being in promotion territory, that thermal camera, that is your best tool. It's going to light up like crazy whenever you have promotions. You know, when you're in those houses, I mean, it's a quick spin around with the camera. Yeah. And that carton nest, it's going to be 5-10 degrees off. It's amazing how much different it is on temperature. And, a tenth of a degree is a slightly different shade. You can notice it. 3/10 of a degree, you're saying, whoa, what's that? But you get a couple degrees off, like a Formosan carton, and you're going to see that big time too. So that's my favorite tool.
So we want to go in and, basically use that as our marketing. Also to, hey, we're doing a real thorough inspection. Not just, hey, we saw a tube, but what's actually happening here. And if we can get a visual with the camera, and you can get a visual with the borescope or the Termatrack, you can confirm that, man, that whole wall is lit up. You're probably gonna have to do a lot of tear out.
Yeah, and then the fun one too, with the borescope too for termites, they'll do it a lot with the trees. Is since you got the Formosan territory, is wherever that is, get a nice long drill bit, a wood drill bit, and you can drill into that tree stump like you found the Formosans. Or you can drill into, even if it's just a beam up in the attic, Formosans are in there, drill through it and put the borescope in there, and you will see those Formosan termites. They're so aggressive. They'll come, attack your finger, or they'll attack the borescope.
Right.
So if, like that tree stump, if you drilled and you hit some voids in there, you're going to agitate them. They're going to come out ready to fight. You pull the drill out, put your borescope in, and you're going to see all these soldiers coming and attacking that borescope. It's one of the coolest things. Siobhan has done that before.
Oh, really? So I'm going to enjoy that because, that's just, but that's one of the reasons I said buy little tools. I'm more about the diagnostic than the actual treatment, because I'm looking at a lot of equipment right now and looking at building out a new truck. And what do you think, man, for a truck? Because I was thinking actually of going with the bigger vans.
How big? What do you mean the bigger vans?
The ones with the tall roof, so you can actually stand inside, because I don't want it to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, like a Mercedes or the Nissan.
Yeah, the Nissan or Mercedes, Yeah,
I like the bigger ones. The price tag is higher. The small ones, like little Nissan, like NV200, you're really limited on space.
I have one, and I don't want another one, because every time somebody hits you, they rolled up the floor, the doors, because they're literally stopping with your doors. The bumpers are so low to the ground. I just don't like it, so I want a big beefy van that we can put a couple of different tanks in there.
Yeah, and if you're getting into termites, that's exactly where it's going. Those 200s, you can't have more than about a 50-gallon tank in it.
Yeah, no, we want to be able to do it. I'm looking at also, because I was doing some testing before where I used to do systemic root drain treatments with self-dosing pumps.
Yeah.
So use that also as an option, so I don't have to carry a tank.
Yeah.
With a dosing pump.
Yeah, Orkin played with those in the 90s, and I think they might still have some that they're using, which Terminor works really well.
Yeah, Imidacloprid did, and it's too thick, so I had to dilute it, and then so I had to play with it, but it did work out, because I would be able to do a lot of drench treatments for thousands and thousands of feet without stopping.
Yeah, with Orkin, what they did is they went out and they were doing termite treatments out of a Ford Ranger.
Right.
Some customers were a little uneasy with them hooking up this machine to their faucet. Most customers, it didn't bother them at all.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that and looking at what foamers and injectors we're going to get for that, but it doesn't seem like you need that much equipment. Mostly it's...
Yeah, so a little bit in the beginning, but it tends to last a long time.
Right.
That's where we're so surprised Paul's foamer, that quick connect broke. But, you know, kind of in its defense, too, it wasn't the foamer itself. It's a quick connect on the airline. It's the little things that'll leave you. And that was a brand new hose that Paul was saying. He had that foamer for 20 years,
Right.
And the hose, the rubber hose, was deteriorating from the pump to the tank.
Right.
So he bought a brand new one. So the new one, the hose works, but the brass quick connects is what broke on at this time. So,
okay.
So I don't fault the manufacturer for that one. Really. I guess it is a quality control issue, but that's a quick, easy fix on that.
Right.
But your equipment should last you for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like you got pretty good guys. You're not going to be leaving it at a loose end.
Nah. I was looking at the, because you guys went with those Milwaukees.
Yeah.
Now, are those SDS Max with the bit?
I'm not sure if they're the Max. I'd have to look up the difference in the Max. I can't remember if the Max was like the 1 inch, the bigger size.
Yeah, the 3/4. It goes to like that.
Okay, I think those might be the 3/4. There is a bigger size in the SDS, so that might not be the Max.
Yeah, okay.
So, and that's fine for doing a termite hole, by the way.
Yeah.
Be careful if you get too big. Like we've got in there, we got the Hilti, the standard old-fashioned Hilti, that are still good termite drills. The Hilti's great for doing a 2-inch hole. Overkill for termites. When we first got the Milwaukees, we actually had a couple guys in class. They were basically drag racing. One with the Hilti, one with the Milwaukee.
Right.
You can drill holes twice as fast with the Milwaukee. You know, so it's kind of with the Hilti, you got the torque.
What you know what models are, or how much are those things running?
I'd have to think. It is the rotary hammers, and they've got 2 different models of them. We can take a look tomorrow.
I'm thinking of getting those, going with the batteries. The biggest concern was you were mentioning where we need a stop box for those, or no?
No, and they don't make an official stop box for the cordless ones.
Right.
That would be with the cord. The biggest problem with the stop boxes where those are disappearing is you've got to hit something metal and ground it out.
Right.
So now that you don't have copper water lines anymore, and you don't even have metal conduit either, you're not hitting metal and you're really not stopping. You know, if you end up even grounding enough when you hit the water inside a PEX or PVC pipe, you're already through the pipe.
Yeah,
you know, it's too late on that.
Right.
And even with old stop boxes, it'd be the same way. By the time you nick copper pipe, you know, usually you're going a little too hard and you busted through it even with the stop box. So, so that's where the stop boxes are disappearing.
Got it. Okay, yeah, because I know a couple of guys were asking me about that. No, you need a stop box because you hit a line.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I know you mentioned something. I know this one has the torque where it stops if you hit something like a rebar.
Really hard, yeah.
You gotta hit a rebar.
Yeah, but not if you hit like a power line.
Right.
You know,
which is gonna be rare. You're gonna hit a power line.
Yeah.
Unless somebody
and they're right in the very beginning. You know, once it used to be, it was all corded, and it was have a stop box, Then when the cordless came out, that's where it was still but you can't have a stop box, so we can't go cordless. Pretty much everything's gone cordless now, and everybody's jumping on that bandwagon with or without a stop box. And they're plastic, you're insulated really well. It's not like you're having old school 1960s metal, rotary hammer. That is, you're gonna have smoke coming out of your ears if you hit an electric line.
Right. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at, and so I gotta get all this equipment. I figured it's about $3,000. About $3,000 altogether.
It depends on the tank. The spray tank would be your biggest one.
Yeah.
The treatment one, probably $200-$300 for like a sub-slab injector, or a couple different versions of that. Yeah, but usually it's a kit with a couple different tips.
Yeah.
The foamer, that was about $1,200 we had there.
Yeah, I got a guy in Miami making one called the Rhino Foamer.
Yes, I've seen those. Yeah.
And they're powerful.
So it's similar to that big one.
Let me ask you, what would you recommend for? Because we're going to be looking at tentless termite for drywood. We discussed it with Timbor. Would you recommend doing a foam application or just a liquid?
You can just do a liquid spray. You just spray to the point of runoff, and it'll coat. And I have done foam. I've tried it to see how it was. It slowed me down quite a bit.
Okay.
I didn't get much better of an application because you still have to treat every area.
Got it.
So basically, you got the foam is just going to allow more to soak into the wood.
Right.
But you're also typically a lower amount of active ingredient. because you're diluting out the air in that foam too.
Got it. So yeah, so the liquid is because I'm looking at I'm looking at not having to go tank with a big tank for no reason. And for like the lawn care, we might make a van that is for lawn care and termite. And so I'm looking at we got a company that called Petro Tools that makes a portable spray unit. It's got a 100-foot hose on it. It's got an 11-gallon tank, battery operated, goes to 85 psi. I said for most addicts, that is more than enough.
Yeah, so you get the 100, and you can even have extension hoses on that too.
Yeah, but I think it has a 100-foot reel.
Yeah.
On it. So you've got a portable unit that's really light plastic, so 11 gallons. It's got a 100-foot hose.
Yeah.
And it's battery operated. It does 85 psi. That's way more than enough to do.
Yeah, it's overkill. And usually you'll park.
And those things are $500.
Yeah.
They're really inexpensive.
Yeah, and you'll park that right under the attic access.
Yeah.
Some of the electric backpacks will work the same way.
It's just uncomfortable in an attic with a. You got.
Well, some of them either people rig it up themselves with quick connects, or you can make it on your own.
Yeah.
Where you set it right on the floor, you got about 4 gallons. A lot of attics, you're not going to use more than 4 gallons.
Yeah, I know, that's what I figured.
And then you can have like 25 or 50-foot extension hoses that you just put in there, and then you've got just your wand up in there.
Yeah.
The bigger ones, that portable one, if the cart is easy to maneuver in somebody's house, that's the only things. I don't like pulling a hose reel through. Some companies use a truck-mounted sprayer.
Yeah, I don't like that idea.
And it's going through the dirt, the yard.
Yeah,
and then as they go around the corner.
So this is a real nice unit. It's got nice rubber tires. It parks right there. You just open up the rolls, and in case you got to go through the house, because you got to do a wall injection too.
Yeah. They got white carpet, etc. So if you can wheel it in nice and neat, have a painter's drop cloth down underneath the attic, set it up there, and up you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. So and then the foamer, we don't know. They got a 5-gallon foamer and a 3-gallon. And I'm thinking, how much foam are we actually? But I saw how much you put out today.
Yeah.
If you got a pretty big job, you're going to need.
Yeah, and that was a 3.
That's a 3.
Where I went through a lot was when I was doing the liquid.
Yeah.
Because that's pumping 1 or 2 gallons a minute, so it doesn't take long.
Right.
But when you're doing the foam, you're doing 1 gallon a minute, but say 3 gallons, and you're doing somewhere in the middle, 15 to 1. That's going to be 45 minutes of foam. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a lot.
5 is a big foamer. 5 is very big.
Yeah.
Now, if it's just empty, it's going to take up space in your truck, but it's not going to be weight. So if you get the 5-gallon and you just never fill it fuller than 3, as long as you got room on your truck, it's not a big deal. But
right. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at, trying to be compact and get as much. Because I'm looking, if I build it out, a big truck, or getting one of those 250s or 2500, whether it's a Ford or whatever, to do a setup inside where we have multiple tanks.
Yeah.
Because we use so little water for our lawn and ornamental.
And that's a rolling billboard too. Really
that's why I like it. So I know I can get a good amount in there because we're going to go with electric pumps. Just go with those pump techs.
Yeah, and with the termite, I would say try and get up to be 5 to 7 gallons a minute. That's where we do have one pump tech that's in the room there, and that gets about a solid 2.5, 3.
Yeah, now I saw that one was slow. Yeah, no, they got the nice ones now where they do 5 to 7 gallons.
Yep. Another one with pump techs is you can always put them in parallel. Now it doubles your cost.
Right.
But even before they came out with the bigger ones, what people were running was they were running 2 of those 3-gallon.
Right.
So then you're actually getting 6. They don't work against themselves like other pumps will.
Got it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at, just trying to do something that's, not noisy, and, we can put it in a van so there's very little fumes.
Yeah, electric's the way to go.
And electric, and then we were doing, like, for lawn, we were looking at doing maybe 25, 30-gallon tanks. Because we
just mix what you need.
Yeah, I mean, we do shrubs, we're getting 6, about over 2,000 feet on shrubs.
And big one for the termite is I'd keep it a dedicated sprayer.
Yeah.
It could be on the truck. Now, the temptation for lawn guys are going to be, I've never used this. Let me mix up a tree and shrub mix in it.
No.
But all that fertilizer and repellent.
No, because I'm looking at putting maybe like 4 or 5 tanks and trying to do a system where we rack up 4 to 5 to 25-gallon tanks and then have a reel rack because you can stack them now.
Yeah.
And that thing is tall, so you can actually put 4 reels and just
Yeah.
have them dedicated. I'm looking at having a dedicated tank for
Yeah,
everything.
termite one on the light side is probably a 100-gallon tank. That'll treat 250 linear feet.
Right,
That's going to be an average house and a little bit more.
right.
So
So
then,
that's what we're looking at.
and then you get to a Miami Beach mansion or something, you might be filling it 4 times, but you can get it done for a big job like that. It's
Yeah.
not going to be in the world.
Yeah, you're never gonna carry enough water.
Mhm.